somebody compliments you on one of your accomplishments, or when you achieve your goal or receive an accolade, how do you feel? Happy? Satisfied? Fulfilled? Or maybe you feel more anxious than you started out with, because for some certain reason, you feel like you don't deserve what you've earned. There might be this small voice pushing you back. It all boils down to luck. You're only here because of your connections. You don't belong here. You're going to fail, and they're going to see who you really are. A disappointment. This feeling of self-inadequacy and this small voice pushing you back has a very specific name: imposter syndrome. According to Psychology Today, imposter syndrome is the belief that you have only succeeded due to external factors, such as your race, your gender, your ethnicity, or just being at the right place at the right time, not truly how capable you are. Now, before you panic, imposter syndrome is not a mental disorder. It's just a common behavior people tend to exhibit. In fact, over 70% of people have felt one way in their lives at one point. It can happen to any person, to any gender, any race, no matter what field they are in or how successful they can be. For example, people like Sheryl Sandberg, Maya Angelou, Natalie Portman, and even Einstein have felt the same way. Einstein going as far as saying, "The exaggerate esteem at which my life work is held makes me very ill at ease. I'm compelled to think myself no more as an involuntary swindler." Now think about it. As arguably one of the most intelligent men in the history of our world, Einstein finds himself no more than an involuntary swindler. There is no one way imposter syndrome manifests. You could find yourself doing everything and being unable to reach out for help, because when you do, you're afraid that you'll be seen as unworthy or lesser. Maybe you find yourself doing more and more in order to prove yourself to your peers that you are worthy and that you are not an imposter. Perhaps you're very hard on yourself, setting multiple high goals that are frankly unrealistic, and when you do just a little less than what you wanted, you beat yourself up for either not doing enough or not doing well enough. Perhaps you also find yourself researching every aspect, every scenario that could happen because you're afraid to fail, because the act of failure itself is proof that you're an imposter. You could also be one of the few gifted individuals that hardly need to work hard to master new skills. But when it comes to anything that you need to struggle or work hard with, you become discouraged, because the fact that you need to put in just minimal effort or more effort than you usually do proves that you're an imposter. I have an older sister, 10 years older than me, in fact. She lives in one of the most expensive cities in the world, has a high-paying job, and last year, she got married to the love of her life. A dream, right? Aside from my sister, I've always been surrounded by very talented peers with their rigorous AP course load, rugged varsity sports, and remarkable extracurricular activities. People who tend to have imposter syndrome have childhood memories that they must be able to be like their peers and siblings and accomplish as much as they do. And in order to fit in and be worthy of their parents' love, they must accomplish and be as successful as their peers or more. Raise your hand if you woke up this morning and scrolled through Instagram or any other social media platform. In a generation where technology is seeping into every part of our lives, we're constantly bombarded with images and information of people being successful. We see on Instagram people going on dream vacations with their designer shoes and sports cars. preaching their definition of success through long text posts on Instagram or threads on Twitter. We read articles of kids half our age doing twice as much as we are doing. As these images of success masquerade in front of us, we feel that we cannot quite fit the status quo of success. There's always something missing, something less. But in fact, people are like the most of us, doing more, showing more, falling more, because they too feel like they cannot fit the image of success. And they're just trying to fit in and not seem like an imposter. The biggest issue with imposter syndrome is the fact that we cannot realize that other people are struggling like us as well. So the first step to combating imposter syndrome is to be able to perceive the reality of your successes versus the actual reality of your success. A good way to do this is to be able to open up to your family, friends, or a trusted guardian. Usually, when this happens, you realize that you aren't the only one who feels this way. And to a lot of people, this is very empowering, and it gives people confidence to meet this issue. Now that you have realized the stark difference between your perception of your success and the actuality of your success, you are able to now combat this head on. One of the methods is to document every one of your accomplishments in order to visualize and celebrate what you have done well. And by doing this diverts the attention from bad things, such as your external factors that you believe led to your successes, to what your actual successes are. Another method could be challenging negative thoughts that come into your mind, such as, I'm only here because I have connections. Challenge that negative thought by thinking, what has led to these connections? Is there something I bring to the table that others don't? Now, having imposter syndrome is not necessarily a bad thing. It means that you're willing to face anything with a sense of humility. You're able to look at your shortcomings and try to better yourself. And on one final note, I want you all to remember that we all take our own paths to success. Just because yours doesn't look like others doesn't make you any less successful. Thank you.